crayon drawings of this spectacular event that happened. But
I don't have to fucking buy some crayons right now, just in case.
I love how every
you,
time they mention the drawings, they're like, the crayon drawings.
Yeah.
Point.
In
They
case
didn't
you
have to mention
forgot,
that they were crayons
they're
at
fucking
all.
crayon drawings.
look, this was the 90s. We didn't have, art supplies. It was all crayons. That's all people.
Yeah.
They had art
especially in New
supplies.
York.
I'm pretty sure they had art supplies.
New York. Well, maybe not. Well, maybe so. But Carol does not let this go. She starts to try and do some real investigation into the supposed witnesses of the witnessed case.
At first, I was stunned. I'd had a few doubts and questions about the Linda case, but I hadn't expected this. Then I made some phone calls and went into action. I took along the handwriting samples and the drawings, including a couple of drawings that Bud had not included in the book witnessed. I left the drawings with a registered art appraiser and headed across town to meet Roger Rubin.
Well, I am a question document examiner. I specialize particularly in question handwriting, which is to try to determine whether handwriting is written by another person or not. And I've been accepted as an expert in courts of a few different states and in arbitrations 79 times.
Yeah, 79.
Wow.
And pulling out the big guns. You got art appraisers. You got handwriting experts. Could you imagine being an art appraiser and someone brings you in a bunch of crayon drawings of aliens and ladies floating?
I'd be stoked. I'd be like, thank God, some real art to look at. Jesus Christ.
It's
Beautiful.
nuts. Be like, did the same adult draw this with crayons as this adult who drew this with crayons? Do you really think? Maybe there's
Why
a
not?
reason they left the art appraiser out of this completely. We're going to hear some from the handwriting expert, but the art appraiser probably rolled his eyes, right? What do you think? What do you think the art appraiser actually said?
I mean, I don't see why crayon should not be taken seriously. Like, it's just another medium. It's just another form of
It's a
expression.
viable medium. It's a viable
beautiful.
medium.
Yes.
Sure. So here we are. Here are the results of the handwriting analysis 79 cases guy of the witnesses' handwriting compared to the writing of the abductee, Linda McCartney. No.
In the zip code is also virtually identical to the numeral 2 at the on the date of the letter dated October 2nd, 1992.
Get on with it.
What does that tell you?
That tells me that it was written by the same person. I think there's a large enough sample to indicate that it was written. They were both written by the known writing written by Linda, and I believe that therefore, and subsequently to my examination, she was the writer or the author of the writing on the envelope.
I don't know if that was someone's pager or they were trying to bleep out her name, but we all know her name anyway. Anyway, what they're saying is Linda's handwriting that was on letters sent to Bud matches the manila envelope sent by Richard, sent by Dan, and sent by the other lady. They all match up. It's all the abductee's handwriting.
Wow, they all have the same secretary? That's crazy.
But I gotta ask you this: why is it taking her? If you're Bud Hopkins and you're trying to come off legitimate, why aren't you looking at this stuff as critically? I'm not gonna say that he's that he's just glossing over all of this, but he is doing a really poor job, I would say, in vetting this woman and going forward with this story. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's unfair to say that he's glossing over it. That sounds pretty accurate.
Maybe he just it feels like he just wants
weird.
to believe, like he wants it to be a real thing, and he's willing to overlook the minor discrepancies in the evidence.
But if you want to be taken seriously in a field that is so easily and roundly mocked how can you this little stuff like this, if you could be at least a little critical about one case, it would make the other ones look even better. But he's not. I get, it's like he can't be bothered. He's just like, yeah, she said she floated out. Yeah, I got a letter. Yeah, they saw her float out. Yeah, just go. Let's write a book.
Well, that makes sense too, because I think it was probably a lot harder then to verify all this shit. Like, we know about this because we have, Google. I don't think that he was privy to the information right at the time, was he?
Well, he's the one handling all this stuff. He should be looking at, oh, wow, another letter in a manila envelope, same handwriting. Oh, never mind. This is from Dan.
So is she all 21 of the witnesses? Because did she like call in different voices and she's like, there's a woman getting sucked up at a UFO. I gotta go. Then 2 seconds later, another one. She's like, hello, there's someone being sucked up in a UFO right now by the Brooklyn Bridge. I feel like she just called in 20 different times,
It sounds like it is. And remember, I'll remind you, Carol, this is Bud Hopkins' wife. Now, some of you might be asking the same question that this commenter on YouTube did, because Carol is posting these clips that I'm posting are videos posted by Carol Rainey herself. And I have a great question or a comment someone left on one of her videos. This one we just heard. It said, Carol, can I ask what motivated you to create and post these videos that cast Bud, the man you were once married to, in such a bad light?
Yeah.
But what'd they say?
And Carol responds. She said, because I had clear evidence that abduction researchers, especially Bud and his best friend, David Jacobs, had lost the ability to see objectively, and their well-intentioned actions were harming very vulnerable people. Current research into the neurobiology of the brain and memory process shows quite clearly that recovered memory techniques like hypnosis are not recovered actual memories most of the time. The brain cannot differentiate between events that seem to be memories and events that one imagines or has suggested to him, her. To be just the thought, we should remember the context in which Bud and others began extensive use of hypnosis in the 1980s. At that time, many professionals and certainly the public believed that the mind operates like a tape recorder, laying down memories, which can be recalled as simply as rewinding tape. Scientists now understand that many, though not all, memories of alleged sexual abuse, satanic ritual abuse, and alien abduction, amongst others, are actually reconstructions of events that occurred in the past. The brain is constantly updating, revising, and adding to any memory that's pulled up. It's like making a collage. We're not even conscious most of the time that when we remember, we're also incorporating into that memory many other elements. The suggestive environment we're currently in, such as being in the home of a famous abduction researcher, television shows seen last week or 10 years ago, ditto with books, movies, etc. The researchers in this field, though, should be strongly aware of such influences. People who do this recovered memory work are not trained as scientists. Most importantly, they often don't read scientific literature or stay current in important relevant fields like neuroscience. If they did, I wouldn't have become so alarmed.
Damn.
Wow. She went into him, man.
This is a very smart woman, and to be looking over the shoulder of your husband, as she had a legitimate interest in this field too. She just happened to come in his life the same time that this woman did. And maybe they were in love, they were married, but she is looking.
Did they stay married? Are they still?
No. Well, one, he's dead. She's still alive. No, they did not. I think they were married till about 2006. I want to say they were married maybe 10 years. He passed away in 2011. And someone did ask her, did she try to reach out? What does Bud think about what he's saying? She goes, he is not happy with me. So,
yeah, I would imagine so. Jesus. Well, I can't blame her. You got integrity. If you're really dedicated to the field like she is, you got to speak up, I guess.
Yeah, she knows her shit, and she's not going to. She's watching this. This is probably one of the differences between a lot of big cases, and it's sad to say. It's so easy, we want to believe a lot of this. I want to believe in this Bud Hopkins in abduction, but when someone is there, right there with the people and watching the process, like how this is vetted, how it's investigated, what you're calling the book witnessed, and as she's looking at every witness going, this is bullshit. This is just total. I'm looking at these handwriting. It's not occurring to Bud, and this is his livelihood. Like he's banking his reputation on these people, and not a lot of people know this. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean that's his life's work. Do you think at some point maybe he is like maybe aware of it, but he's like, oh, I'm gonna keep this going. I'm in too deep. I got this going already.
He's probably like, who's gonna disprove this? Who's gonna see these envelopes I have? I'll just fucking chuck these things. I'll just have the letters.
Yeah, look at these crayons.
These crayon drawings.
Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
They're too good.
They're using the same hues and everything. It's what everyone's so synced up on this. It had to happen.
Everyone's using sienna.
Exactly. It's like, wow, look at the consistency. This proves it.
True. And here we go. This is going to be another excerpt from Carol's video. And this one is where Linda is telling Bud Hopkins about being on the street with her cousin Connie. And a van pulls up and tries to take her. Long story, she fought it off. But, yeah, she's on the street. A van rolls up, try to take her. Long story, she fought it off. But let's hear Bud and Carol's reaction to this new chapter in the witness story.
It sounds like, to me, that they were trying to grab you to interrogate you. That's what it sounds like.
Linda, were they dressed as street thugs?
No, they were dressed well.
What do you mean,
was the van battered up, or
suits.
did it look good, or what was the van look like?
No, the van was a good looking van.
Linda, look, Andy walks down streets, Carol does, I do. This doesn't happen to us.
I wasn't sure why a researcher would hear a report like this and A, immediately assume it was true, and B, immediately connect it to Linda's now 7-year-old abduction case. But I hadn't known her nearly as long as Bud had, so I waited to see what he'd do.
I wish you'd tell me these things. I need to know these things. When they happen, I need to know them. I really do. I really need to know.
I really wasn't sure if it was case related because it's been such a long time now. After all these years, they're going to still bother me. What do they want from me?
Linda, look at it this way. If I'm the doctor in this in some crazy way, you don't go to a doctor and say, "Oh, I got this crazy symptom," and it's really the weirdest damn symptom in the world. But I'm not going to mention it to him because it's probably not connected with any known disease.
I think Bud's in love. He buys anything this woman tells him, and like she said,
I need to know.
He also thinks he's a doctor.
Yeah, he's putting her under hypnosis in the basement of his own house, so he probably does feel like her doctor. There was a little slip there. It's weird, but yeah, this woman, this woman can tell this man anything, and it seems like Bud will just take it. And he's like, "Whoa, wait! You got to tell me that I have to be prepped for the lecture circuit with this stuff. We're going to print. Like at this point, the book is about to come out." They're going on lecture circuits all around the world. They go all over the Spanish-speaking world. They go everywhere with this.
Wait, so you're saying that he sounds a little bit desperate for her accounts, right? He's like, I need this shit. Like, it sounds like he's really desperate for material.
It's not so much desperate. I think he wants to control this narrative as much as he can. This is his name on the book, and he needs to know anything that's happened to her. So, but maybe she's a crazy person who is just coming to her. Now, remember, she's talking about her cousin Connie.
I mean, she loves crayons, apparently, too. Is that her? Yeah.
Well, obviously, because she's sending them from all these different names, according to Carol Rainey. But let's hear more from Carol as she gets even more critical of her husband and his abductee partner.
I felt uneasy about the nature of this relationship. Bud and Linda saw themselves as collaborators, deciding the best way to present their story in public.
I had 2 fragmented memories.
This wasn't like any research I'd ever known. For many years, I'd made films with scientists. They went about getting new knowledge in a different way, by following strict research protocols. They gathered objective data, and every aspect of their research was reviewed by other experts along the way. Those tools helped researchers stay objective, help them stay close to the data and not fall into the world reported by the subject.
That was at the kids.
I was starting to realize that alien abduction research had none of those safeguards for the getting of truth.
Yeah, bud. Be more